Yeah, do you remember the there's that treachery card that's like the Stank from Devil's Reef or something like that?
Stank. Well, and we don't have to do it today, but like let's brainstorm some ideas and do it sometime. I think that'd be funny.
We could do like the the Innsmouth look. You like test me on power 3.
Yeah. Oh, it's an asset.
And FFG is going to be listening to this and jotting down all like a bunch of notes. So when it comes out,
Matt just furiously scribbling on paper.
Yeah.
In the office.
Ooh,
yeah,
like
that's weird.
idea.
The main weapon for Guardian is blowgun. So.
Oh, God.
Yeah, weird.
Okay,
where you got that idea from.
That's all I had to say. I feel like this entire session I'm just gonna be like watching Man from Lang's like blood pressure and like son of a bitch.
Oh no, man's fine. Look at him. As calm as ever.
It's early.
It's not that
Still
early.
waking up.
You guys need some coffee or something.
I already had coffee.
Well,
Oh,
So it's time for an energy drink.
Yeah.
it's time for like 6 apparently.
whoa.
Whoa.
Oh,
All right.
Did you say the number 6?
6?
Is that what you said?
I did.
Time for 6. Okay, I thought you said something else. We're good. Let's go. Let's go. Do it.
They worshipped, so they said, the great old ones who lived ages before there were any men, and who came to the young world out of the sky.
All right, well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Great Old Ones Gaming Podcast, where we talk about Arkham Horror, the card game, along with other Cthulhu Mythos games. I am Nate, lost in time and space, and joined with me today is...
I'm Man from Ling, host of the Whisper in Darkness YouTube channel.
And I am Innkeeper Vase Odin, host of the Twisted Tentacle Inn YouTube channel.
Hey, and this is Nathan Jester of the Abyss. You can find me on Instagram on Arkham Horror Images of Madness. Couldn't get that out. By the way, Vase, what the hell you adding an and for? You add the and at the end.
And?
You were like, and this is Innkeeper. I'm like, so I've got to be an and?
Yeah.
God damn.
So quick question, on the... you seem to change your name title every episode, Nathan. Are you...
Hey,
So-
what do you think of that?
so hold on.
Jester of the Abyss, huh? Is that pretty good?
That is
I thought of that.
It's pretty cool. Well, I was thinking...
Well, because I crack jokes.
because we are the Great Old Ones, so Nathan, would you be Nyarlathotep? Would you be the God of 1,000 Faces, since you're the guy that's always changing his title on the show?
I see what you did there. I did happen to notice you did that right after I chose a name. So, can I talk to you over here for a
I
minute?
thought we were going to go with side note.
Can I hey, so I couldn't help but think that you just like totally shamed me there on that podcast. And wait, is this thing still on? Never mind. Let's talk later.
Alrighty, so just to catch our viewers up on what we've been doing lately, let's start with Vase. Vase, what you been playing lately?
Oh, man, it's been busy because of, Black Friday and stuff, so I've had very, very little chance to play any games at all.
Wait, I'm sorry.
D&D.
Black Friday. You mean Blackest Friday?
Blackest Friday, yeah.
Okay.
No D&D, no Delta Green, and no Arkham Horror, the card game. I think I streamed for the League of Extraordinary Investigators, Phantom of Truth. I didn't even have a chance to do a practice game, so of course I was defeated by both horror and damage, which was interesting. And that's really all I've done in terms of gaming since our last talk. What about Nathan? What have you been up to?
Oh, I see. So because I always push you under the Arkham bus, okay, that's cool. I get it.
I'm lying. I got to play with Nathan. We got to play Champions, Marvel Champions. How can I forget
That was fun.
that? And Lord of the Rings.
That was fun,
super
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
In one day, I showed people how to play Lord of the Rings LCG, Marvel Champions LCG, and I got to play Arkham LCG. It was probably the best day of my life. Don't tell my wife that. No, I've been playing a lot of all three of those. as well as resisting the urge to buy someone's Kickstarter for Tainted Grail and building my Kingdom Death collection and painting it. So, yeah, it's like all the irons are in the fire. But I printed off several new fan-mades off of Arkham Central, which I help admin with Karsten. And I'm going to try those out. I only have about 60 fan-mades I'm in the process of trying out. And then I'm still working on writing a fan-made. That's still in the works. But also I'm working with Andrew Migliori. He just came into the shop last night. He's got the next couple of weeks off for the holidays. We've talked about some new input we've had about Lurker in the Lobby. Our goal, tentative, is to have it done by the end of the year to the printers. And then we're going to have a big splash on the Facebook group and Arkham Central with the final version. We just want to make it really fun before we share with everybody. But yeah, so I guess to sum all that up, LCG's 24/7.
Nice. Well, that sounds cool. So, obviously, Arkham's your favorite, right?
I'm not a heretic.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. What about you, Fanfling? What have you been up to recently?
I've been getting ready for my playthroughs of the Dream Eater scenarios, going through which decks I'm going to play. Finally finished recording all the Circle Undone stuff, working on my reviews for Dream Eaters, which I've been promising for, it seems like, months now. But real life has gotten in the way, it seems, more often than not lately, so I will be, I'm looking forward to getting those done so I can do the Search for Kadath and 1,000 Faces of Horror, which it probably comes out Thursday or Friday, I think.
Yeah, I got a email saying that the pre-orders were shipping, and I think that was Friday, so yeah, that sounds about right.
Are pre-orders the same as pre-orders?
Yeah, so I'll probably do an abbreviated reviews for those just to, catch up, because since I've been doing the Mythos Pack previews, I review a lot of the cards anyway. And so rather than duplicate those, I'll probably just do a shorter one and just review. I think there's only 4 cards in Search that I haven't talked about, so 4 or 5, I think. And I've got my weekly D&D group with a great bunch of guys from the US and the UK. They we finished our first scenario, so we've got lots of different things they can follow up, and I'm one boss
Very
away
cool.
from
Nice.
finishing Dark
Very
Souls.
cool.
So, and then I'll just catch up with my son, who's already, I think, he's in New Game Plus, so...
I have yet to beat Bloodborne, and I've never played any of the Dark Souls games. Those games, I don't know what it is about those games, but it's like you get into the mood of playing them, and then those games just shred every ounce of dignity that you have as a gamer, and I end up just putting the controller and walking away.
Yeah, I tend to like the harder games. Like back in the day, I played Halo 1 Legendary and finished Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. And I find as long as I'm making a little bit of progress each time I take on a boss, I'm content. But I have had those situations as well where I think one even I was playing last night and I'm just like, nope. I'm done with this.
Nate, I can tell that you're a little at a loss for words. It's a thing that all men from Lang have. It's that extra patience. It's a thing from the plains. Don't question it.
It must be. Yeah, I just get pissed every time. I spend 2 hours playing the game, and then eventually I get to the point where I just don't want to fucking deal with that shit anymore. So I just drop the game and go do something else.
Is that a game that you can save your progress like every point, or you have to go back like an hour before getting to the boss and start from there every time you die?
No, you have to go back.
No, there's a save point system. So basically, you go back to a certain point in the level, and you have to like tread your way back, and all the enemies respawn.
Yeah, it depends on the boss. Some of them there's usually a shortcut, so as long as you've got that open, it's usually not too bad. I was doing one one boss, and my son's like, "Why don't you just use the shortcut?" And I'm like, "I didn't even know a shortcut existed." So he showed it to me, and that made it much, much quicker. But as far as Arkham goes, I'm looking forward to. I would really like to play Before the Black Throne more. Yeah, I enjoyed that scenario, but haven't had to play it again since I recorded it. So.
Well, now that we've all had the chance to finally play through that campaign, we should really sit down and hash out our thoughts of that campaign, because I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of both the story and the mechanics of that campaign. But as for me, I've been enjoying my new PC, so I played The Outer Worlds, and I beat that, and I started a new Dream Eaters campaign. So I have Luke going through the dream side and Tommy going through the waking world side. And I played Search of Kadath, and I really like that scenario. So when we eventually talk about how that scenario works, I will be
Did you say
head over heels in love with it.
Of Kadath?
Search for Kadath.
There you go. Because like Search of Kadath, I just imagine Kadath up against the wall and you're frisking him.
Well, I mean, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. It'd be kind of weird to do with a big giant castle in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, so main topics for tonight's episode. We're going to talk about the recently revealed Barkham Horror the card game scenario, the Where Gods Dwell, or Where the Gods Dwell reveal of the 5th Mythos pack for the Dream Eaters campaign. We also quickly want to go over Delta Green Black Sites, Ethernomicon, which is the Chaosium collectible card game based in the Cthulhu mythos, and we will round things out with Nathan's Community Spotlight and Trivia Time.
And we're going to announce the winner for Blackest Friday.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I totally just blindside that? I'm so sorry. But before we kick off today's episode, if you like what you hear on the podcast, we would greatly appreciate you leaving a review or a rating wherever you listen to the show. It helps spread the reach of the great old ones, and, you know, it makes us feel good inside. We love hearing from all of you, deranged cultist.
Indeed. And if you want to piss Nate off, join Patreon, because then he gets money to upgrade his equipment and stuff.
That is also true. And speaking of Patreon, if you want to support the show on Patreon, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/thegreatoldOnesGaming. And we want to thank, as always, our Charnel Lord, Robert Bout, and the rest of our worshippers. You guys are awesome. Random patron shout out this episode goes to Worshipper Old School Gamer, which I believe is also taking part of the Holiday Bag Challenge from the Mythos Busters, if I remember correctly.
That is so cool.
I think they mentioned something about him specifically setting up like a prize or something along those lines.
2 months out, ends in January, so he gave ample time.
So that's really cool. So big shout out to Old School Gamer, and yeah. All right. So, guys, Barkham Horror, it's a thing.
It's awesome.
It's really a thing.
Yeah, I am really happy with FFG for bowing down to what the community's been talking about. I just hope at the end of the day, I'm going to get it. I'm going to love it, no matter what it is, because I feel like they listen to the fan base. I just hope they make decent money and it's as well received as I would hope, so that there's a chance that if some other cool thing pops up in the future, that they take that risk, because I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So for those who haven't seen the preview article, I don't know, link to that will be provided in the show notes, but it's basically, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, it's basically this game's version of an unhinged set. Is that a fair assessment, would you guys say?
I didn't think of it that way. That's actually a really good comparison.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of these cards are just hilarious. So there's a treachery card in this product fan called Squirrel, which says, it's a squirrel. You must pass an agility 4 test for each point you fail by something. And then there's another card called Dog Monocle, which is a 2-cost asset with an intellect icon. It has 2 horror soak and it says Barkham deck only. You get +1 intellect while investigating and +1 skill test, I'm assuming, or +1 skill value during parlay actions, because honestly, look at you.
Going forward at all of the future Beneath the Waves events, there will be a Barkham horror table, and I will have some kind of human actually food that looks like dog food, like
raw beef.
chocolate dog biscuits or something.
Oh my god, that would be awesome. I will gladly make those. So yes, that's a thing. Also, was it last episode that you had mentioned that there was an investigator card for Duke?
Yep, and then they used pretty much that exact thing.
That's hilarious.
Which makes sense.
So that's so all of this is just absolutely hilarious.
And it's funny, I've been trying to get my wife into Arkham Horror, the card game, and when I showed her this Barkham expansion, she fell in love with it. And she's like, when it comes out, we're playing that. So this might be her way in.
But even if you're not a fan of the joking, or I guess the parody nature of this scenario pack, there is some kind of neat spoilers that you can derive from a couple of the Image fans. So it looks like there will be a Jacqueline investigator card. If you look down at the second product fan, there is there's the paw reader. So she's clairvoyant and has a fast action that says bury one card from your hand face down beneath Jacqueline Canine, and then you draw a card, limit once per round, and then it has another ability with an action that says choose and dig up 2 buried cards, returning them, blah 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 blah. But so what do you guys think? And there's also a Kate Winthrop as well.
I thought you'd be more excited about the Kate Winthrop card.
It's definitely interesting to see the stat lines for sure. So Kate Winthrop has a 3-4-1-4, and Jacqueline has a 5-3-2-2. So that's definitely very interesting.
That would make her the third Mystic with 5.
Yep. Yeah, it would be Agnes, Akachi, and Jacqueline. Yep. Mm-hmm. So do you guys have any speculative thoughts of what these investigators might actually do?
No. Not at all.
I'm just curious to see how many people will be playing the dog investigators at various events going forward. Because while they say it's just for this scenario, I'm sure there'll be people running them through all of the campaigns at some point.
Yeah, I would imagine that's true.
I don't think they want people to cheat for all those competitive tournaments and prize money. Oh, never mind.
You know there's going to be a ton of fan-made scenarios for the Barkham Horror set.
I hope so.
Oh, you know there's going to be.
I hope so. I hope they do like a mini campaign with these like unhinged sets, because I think that'd be just great.
I think it all boils down to how it's received.
Yeah.
You know, if the sales don't show the numbers they need, they'll probably just let it die on the vine.
Sure. But I'm saying fan-made.
But I'm sure you're going to buy like 4 of them.
I'm going to buy all of them.
I had assumed that Nathan already had a fan-made scenario.
Right?
Oh, my God. That's funny.
But yeah, do you guys have any other thoughts before we move on to a different topic? I know there isn't really much to discuss with this set, really. It's just kind of a bunch of silly encounter cards. And
I think the one thing I did want to mention regarding the set is that FFG listened to the fans. There was so much hype after the April Fool's announcement of Barkham Horror, and for them to actually put out a product like this because of the fan response online, I think it says a lot about FFG as a company and how they listen to fans. So it's definitely a good sign for, you know, the company that makes the game that we love.
Mm-hmm.
I will point out one small thing. I did ship Matt Newman a dog collar that said, you have been warned before this whole thing happened. So I think that might have been peer pressure on that one.
It's definitely at the very least subliminal.
Yeah, whatever that means. Yes, I'm going to go look that up.
Yeah, other than that, I think this is a really cool way for FFG to drop little subtle spoilers and hints for future releases. I think that's a really neat homage. They did that with Tommy Muldoon. I remember you mentioning that Pace, in a previous episode.
Yeah, I didn't come up with the idea. Someone else mentioned that it was the exact same investigator card, just with the name and the image changed. But yeah, it was exactly Tommy Muldoon, who was spoiled way before he came out. So way back in April when they announced Barkham Horror, the fake time, they actually spoiled Tommy Muldoon, and no one really caught it until after they released Tommy Muldoon. So I think you're right. Some of these other investigators, like Kate Winthrop and Jacqueline, I think probably will end up being the exact same, or at least very similar to what's being released in the Barkham Horror set. So I think it is a good indicator for sure.
Alrighty, and then moving on to other news from Arkham Horror, the card game. FFG spoiled the 5th Mythos pack in the Dream Eater cycle, Where the Gods Dwell. This is Scenario 4A of the Dreamcast campaign, which sees the investigators journeying into the Dreamlands to prove the world's existence, and following the events of the Dark Side of the Moon, they reach the land of Lang, and they ultimately encounter Nyarlathotep. So what do you guys think about this design for Nyarlathotep, and how it has at least 5 different
Let's
versions?
give a spoiler warning before we talk a little bit further about it. Some people care about that kind of thing, I guess.
Nathan. Wow, he just mutes himself.
Yeah, so spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about a spoiled card from the set. I think it's really interesting. When I first saw the card, I'm like, really, that's all he does is one horror? But then when I read further, it's like, oh, you have multiple copies in the deck. And they have different effects. I'm sure that the encounter deck is going to affect if it's in your hand. And for those who haven't read it, Nyarlathotep gets put into your hand as a hidden card, and you can't tell anyone you have it. I think what happens, you die if you say something, or
You're driven insane.
you're driven insane, so you lose automatically. But you can have multiple copies in your hand, and so I guess there's other encounter cards that are going to come out and have him do things to you, which is a really interesting design for the boss, or for, the main Great Old One. It's really cool. Something completely unexpected, but hinted at by Patrice's card.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I like how this scales in multiplayer as well. It's really neat that instead of just having this like one card, it just kind of sits on the table, and
Everyone just beats on it.
like a typical elite enemy. You just have like one player, manage the enemy, and then the rest just deal with the scenario as it comes. But with Nyarlathotep, you kind of have to change that entire game plan on its head.
Yeah.
But on that note of encounter cards that interact with Nyarlathotep, there is one card that was spoiled in the article called Myriad Forms, which has a revelation effect that says if one or more copies of Nyarlathotep are in your hand, you reveal them. Each one attacks you and is shuffled into the encounter deck. And if Nyarlathotep is in play, he moves and attacks as if it were the enemy phase. And if no Nyarlathoteps attack as a result of this effect, it gains Surge. And then the art is just incredible. I don't know where they got that piece of artwork, but it's awesome.
So those are some of the cool things. I hope that there's quite a few cards that kind of interact with him when he's in your hand or in play, and have him do different things. It makes it for a more dynamic boss, so he's not just attacking you every round or hunting you and then attacking you. Like, there's different things that it seems like he's going to be able to do based on your draw from the encounter deck.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously we are traveling to the Plateau of Lang, so it's immediately an A+ scenario as far as I'm concerned.
Are you in the scenario? I'm pretty sure you are.
Well, I'm probably I assume that the Corsairs encounter set will be there, so I will be there, at least in spirit, if not in practice.
That would be great if he was the end
sure
elder god. It just is a picture of him up in Red Deer, Canada, and he's like smiling.
That's right. It would just have to be the man from Lang as the final. Nyarlathotep isn't the final boss.
No, it's the man from Lang. It even has the asterisk, so you know it's a unique enemy.
When you flip over that final act card, it's just like, oh dear God, now we've got to fight this guy. Yeah, the only thing I dislike about Nyarlathotep is it doesn't work particularly well with playing online. At least the way I play, because you can't. Hidden cards don't work particularly well. But I think it's an interesting design, and he is one of my favorite great old ones. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it.
Yeah, I am too. And
plays.
speaking of how it plays, Man from Lang, what do you think about the new player card?
The one with the enemy is the Hound. Let me see here. Summoned Hound is a 3-cost mystic asset that costs 1 experience point. It has an intellect and a combat skill icon. The ally and summon traits as an additional cost to play Summoned Hound. You must search your bonded cards for 1 copy of Unbound Beast and shuffle it into your deck. As a free triggered ability during your turn, except during an action, exhaust the Summoned Hound to fight or investigate, either attack with a base skill value of 5 or investigate with a base intellect skill value of 5. Has 3 health and takes up an ally and an arcane slot, which is the first time we've seen that. Yeah, it's sort of like a Mystic Duke.
Yeah, kind of. Except it doesn't let you move, but I think that's a pretty apt comparison.
No, it doesn't let you move. But yeah, it's not quite as good as Duke, obviously, but Duke is probably slightly ahead of the curve anyway. So this is much more in line. But setting your base skill values is a strong mechanic. We've seen that. Duke is proof of that. So I'm not too sure who would want to set their base combat skill value at 5, but it would help. It would certainly help. It's another combat option that Mystics don't necessarily have a lot of.
Maybe Diana.
Diana.
Yeah, maybe Diana. She could definitely use that combat skill value, and intellect is always going to be useful. But you've got to shuffle a weakness into your deck to use it, which is immediately a concern, and that is the Unbound Beast. It's got 3 fight, 3 health, and 3 evade. Monster extra dimensional Tindalos. The prey is the bearer. It has Hunter and Retaliate. And if there is no copy of Summoned Hound in play, you get to set aside Unbound Beast out of play. Otherwise, set an Investigator's Summoned Hound aside out of play and spawn Unbound Beast engaged with the same Investigator. So
unlike Duke, this thing has a huge drawback that sucks.
Yeah, so you basically lose the Summoned Beast.
And gain an enemy weakness.
Yeah, that's not good. That's, I think they sort of fixed it, in that you shuffle this weakness into your deck, but if the Summoned Hound, say, was to leave play before you drew the Unbound Beast, then Unbound Beast is also removed, unlike, I think it's Bloodlust and the Hungering Blade, where you shuffle 3 copies of Bloodlust into your deck, and then if the Hungering Blade leaves play, you get stuck with the 3 copies of Bloodlust.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is...
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That's not good. So it's nice that they've fixed that on this card, but the fact that... maybe this is the intent. You're supposed to basically use the Summoned Hound, get as much value out of it as you can, and then sack it before you draw the Unbound Beast. So then when you do draw the Unbound Beast, it just gets basically put out of play.
That still kind of sucks because it still takes a draw.
Yeah.
So,
you're still suffering the weakness tax of losing your draw. And yeah, a 3, of course, like 3 health enemies are a pain to deal with. And you lose your Summoned Hound. And yeah, I'm not liking the looks of this on the face of it, but who knows? Maybe there's some way to work around it.
Vase, what do you think?
I think the investigators that can splash Mystic are probably going to want it more than actual Mystics. First, because like Man from Lang was saying, the combat value, most Mystics don't generally pack skill cards that'll help boost that beyond 5. So, it's not really going to help them that much. But then also it takes up an arcane slot, which are extremely, extremely coveted. So it's not a card you generally want taking up a slot if it's not going to be using your willpower. So I think off-class Mystics, maybe Diana is the only one I can think of that would want to pack this, but at the same time, she doesn't really have a whole lot of ways to mitigate drawing the weakness that comes with it. If someone, so let's say Carolyn, she can get secret cards, so Carolyn can at least mitigate that a little bit better, but I don't think Carolyn would want this card in her deck. So I can't think of anyone that would actually want to pack it. And you always run the risk of pulling that Hound and then, pulling your weakness the next turn or the next few draws. And, was it worth it? I don't know. I don't think so. So it's either a card you're going to build around, you're going to have to put in a lot of cards that'll help mitigate the weakness, or it's a card that you're just going to take it as gravy when it comes out, but the drawback is so big that you just never know if you can depend on it, so you can't really count on it. So
yeah, I could see, like you said, I think it's much better in off-class Mystics. Patrice kind of comes to mind. I could see it being kind of useful in her.
Yeah, but you're going to draw your Unbound Beast almost
very quickly.
Like how many turns are you going to have before you lose the summon? Like, you're basically losing 3 resources, an action, and a card draw from your Unbound Beast, if and when you pull it. So it's, and I appreciate the fact that FFG has tried to experiment with these weaknesses as bonded cards, but I think generally they're not very good. Hungering Blade, I know, when between Arkham Knights and Beneath the Waves, I don't think I ever saw it played. A lot of people on in the comments section of the spoiler video I did were pretty iffy on the whole idea of adding 3 weaknesses to their deck. I saw it was the Guardians of the Crystallizer. They were a constant pain or a thorn in our side during our run through the Forgotten Age at Arkham Knights, and the Crystallizer seemed okay, but as soon as the Guardians of the Crystallizer hit the table, it was just, you needed somebody to take care of them, and they just chewed up a bunch of actions. And so I'm not that crazy about these.
Yeah, Nathan, what do you think? I'm curious to see, because I know you always like cards for the story they kind of provide the game. So I'm curious to see.
I
what you
just
think.
assumed that Nathan already had a fan-made scenario about these guys.
You just jumped the hell in there. No, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I don't want to delay things by saying the same things, but it's interesting. I want to try it out. And
the other card that was spoiled in this article is absolutely insane. Nathan, since you didn't really talk about much about the last card, why don't you go ahead and read this card for us?
Not a problem. Vase. What the hell? Is he taking a nap? Son of a bitch. I don't have it pulled up right at the very second, if you wouldn't mind reading it, Nate.
Oh, sure. So it's Nothing Left to Lose. It is a 0-cost event with cost, well, redo. Nothing Left to Lose is a 0-cost event with 3 experience and 1 wild skill icon. It is spirit traded, and it reads, if you have fewer than 5 resources, gain resources until you have 5. If you have fewer than 5 cards in your hand, draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. Remove Nothing Left to Lose from the game.
I sincerely hope you leave that tongue juggling in there. That was perfect. Vase, you're gonna want to look down and see the ball that you dropped now that you're back from your nap.
I've been listening the whole time. I just wanted you to read it.
No, I need to skill up on my newspaper.
Wow. So, yeah, this card's ridiculous. I know in the deck that I've been playing for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or Extraordinary Investigators, if I had 6 experience, I would automatically include 2 of these in my P deck. This is insane. So many of the survivor tricks and antics, have you pitch your entire hand or have you ditch all of your resources, and then this card just comes in and completely refuels your game. It's incredible. Man from Lang, what do you think?
Well, survivors don't have much in the way of card draw now. That if you're playing with the list of taboos, drawing thin hit the list. So I mean, draw 5 cards is pretty amazing. I mean, that's better than cryptic research or any of the secret tricks. If you've dumped your hand, say if you're playing Pete and you dump your hand to Duke and then draw 5 cards, that's amazing.
Or even to Cornered.
Yeah, to any of those abilities, Wendy pitching her cards to repull chaos tokens, stuff like that. It gives, and then having the resources as well, getting those 5 resources so you can suddenly boost your fire axe or something like that. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, we don't have gain 5 resources. Like if it was just gain 5 resources or gain 5 cards, that's pretty amazing for free. And I think most...
And this card has both.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And most survivors who would, play this card probably don't have any cards in their hand or resources. So it is essentially gain 5 resources or draw 5 cards.
No, it's do both. It's
nothing
ridiculous.
left to lose, really.
That's true.
It is do both.
Topical, like a cream.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, so it is do both. It's
super strong.
It's that's crazy.
The weird part is it's not an exile card. You remove it from the game, but it stays in your deck for the next scenario. So, yeah, you don't have to repurchase it, which is huge because 3 experience. I mean, what else do we have at 3 experience that lets you do anything even close? I don't think anything, because even the emergency cache, is it level 3 that gives you 4 resources?
Level 2, I
Level
think.
2, okay. 4 resources. I mean, it's 4 resources or 4 supplies, right? Something like that.
Oh, I was thinking of gain 3 draw card. But yeah, I mean, case in point, really,
For 3 XP, I mean, it's huge. Luckily, they didn't make it a fast action. That would just be extremely broken. But
yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, this thing even has a wild skill
way
icon.
Somebody's going to find a way to abuse this card.
Without question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you're right. It's not useless like emergency cache that doesn't have any icons. Like, you can still commit it for a wild icon, which is better than any single other icon. So it's definitely a bomb card. That is for sure.
I think it's the first time that I've been really excited to spend 3 experience on a survivor card.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Because a lot of the other higher experience survivor offerings are middling at best, I guess.
Yeah, and the fact that
You guys think that's
I agree with you. And I think there wasn't really a compelling reason to go full survivor per se. I mean, unless you like the investigator specifically, but most splash survivors can go up to level 2, which were all the good survivor cards were between level 0 and level 2. But this card pretty much is exclusive to survivors and Lola. And that actually is a really, really good reason to go single class survivor for sure.
Vase, next time I see you IRL, I want you to be wearing a t-shirt that says full survivor or go home. So just make that happen.
I'll go ahead.
That's the least you can do for making me stand out here on the plane of Lang with the man, bumbling because you didn't bother reading that. Whatever, I'm done. Whatever.
Oh, man. Yep, so it's definitely a bomb card. It's a really fun card. I can't wait to try it out in a bunch of different survivor decks. I think Man from Lang's right. Someone's going to find a way to break it, and kind of like drawing thin, it's probably going to end up on the on one of the lists,
Yeah. I could see it gaining exile if that was a route they wanted to go and have it cost more experience, but
Yeah. Well, we don't have any 3-cost exile cards.
Yeah.
They're all 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, I think it'll probably end up getting nerfed in some way. It seems a little too good on the surface. And if it's a little too good on the surface, then it's probably way too good in practice. Because there's just no downside to it. I mean, you've got to remove the card from the game, but if you've built your deck so you can gain 5 resources and draw 5 cards, there's just no downside to it whatsoever. At least if it was exile, that would, tap it down a little bit, because you wouldn't pay 3, having to pay 3 experience points per time you want to use this thing might dissuade some people. But even that, I mean, there's so few of, like you were saying, there's so few really powerful 3-cost or 3 experience point survivor cards that I tend to find that, toward the end of a scenario, that's when you start including a lot of the exile cards, because you're just trying to find stuff to spend your experience points on. And even if you had to pay 3 experience points per scenario for something like this, I'm sure there would be many players who would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, or in standalone mode too.
Yeah, in standalone mode for sure. I mean, there's no
downside to this. It's so ridiculous. I'm really surprised this card even saw print with the text that has on it currently. It's really quite a shock to me. I thought there would be a word "or" in there, like you thought, Man from Ling, but nope, it's both, and it's dumb.
Yeah, I'd sort of assumed there was an "or" in there, because doing everything is pretty amazing.
Especially in Arkham Horror, where you would think that a card like this would have some sort of weakness.
Yeah. So I guess so far the pack has one completely amazing card, and then one or at least 2 with the Summon Hound and the Unbound Beast that will definitely need to play around with to see if it's viable.
Yeah, Summoned Hound is just, I think it's so difficult to slot in a main Mystic, like Vase was saying earlier, because that Arcane slot is so coveted. Like, are you really going to take out your Rite of Seeking or your Shriveling so that you can play this Hound thing? I don't really think so.
Yeah, and I think the ally slot has always been competitive, but I think it's gotten even more competitive as we see more allies. And I think Mystics in particular, they need a lot of, they've got a lot of really strong allies competing for that slot. I mean, you've got David Renfield if you need the resources and willpower. You've got Alyssa Graham if you need the intellect and the ability to scry the encounter deck. The card that I've really come around on is just even Arcane Initiate from the core set, where that ability to draw a card for free every turn is fantastic.
Yeah, and Arcane Initiate has gained a lot of stock recently, because there's a lot better spells as events now too.
As the number of really good spells has gone up, Arcane Initiate stock has gone up, and I find I almost prefer it to a lot of the other allies now if I'm playing a build that has spells in it, because you're just able to find them that much more quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving on from Where the Gods Dwell, in other Mythos news, Chaosium recently announced their Kickstarter campaign for Ethernomicon, which is their collectible card game. Have you guys heard anything about this?
I personally have not.
I looked at the link you sent, and they lost me in place.
It's interesting. I'll put it that way. I'm not a big fan of the collectible card game distribution model. Personally, if I want cards, I want to buy the cards that I want. And I think that's one boon for the LCG model that I've really enjoyed is, I can get the cards I want to get and have all the copies I need.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just took a brief look at it, and I mean, they say that the rare and ultra or whatever it was, like ultra rare, the rare and ultra rare cards will only, what's the word they use, like will only give you a slight advantage. And it's just like, well, if it's only a slight advantage, then why do you even have rarity to begin with?
Yeah, I agree. It kind of, like, I get that they're trying to, like, I'm assuming, emulate Magic in that regard, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the initial set is only, I think, 64 cards, they say?
Yes.
And then as part of the Kickstarter, you can get a whole bunch of common cards. So, I mean, I have seen games where this sort of power level has worked out well. I think back to like a game like Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, where commons were actually, it was, I think, one of the few games out there that got the distribution model right, where commons were common in your deck and the uncommons and rares were uncommon and rare because they tended to have very either specialized effects that weren't always useful, while the common cards did stuff you did every turn. So, I mean, if they could replicate that, then I'd be much more interested. But the deck, the dice mechanic, that I'm not crazy about that. Largely because my son and I have played a little bit of Destiny, and while I enjoyed the game, the whole idea of storing all of these dice that you're going to end up with just really didn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, man. From Lang, it also it feels like this game would have a lot going on the board, and I feel like it'd be hard to keep track of. Like Arkham LCG is already a hard enough game to keep track of everything because there's so much going on the board. But with a versus game like this, where you need a clear sense of the game state, I think the addition of dice kind of muddies the waters, so to speak. But to kind of go over the premise of the game, you play cards, and cards have what are called mythos points. And then you spend those mythos points to play investigators or locations or items and monster cards. And then you have your investigators either solve mysteries or remove enemy locations or fight monsters. And you try to beat the mythos that way, I guess, versus another player, which is interesting. It kind of reminds me of the Call of Cthulhu LCG that FFG released about a decade ago, and it's interesting. I think if you're looking for a different type of Lovecraftian experience, this might be something you want to check out. But oh, hello, Moon. Did you want to say hello? I guess you did.
Oh man, the cat has joined us after all.
Well, we are in the Dreamlands, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I'll probably give that. Like, I'd be willing to give this a try and see how it works.
There is also going to be an online version of the game too, so that might incentivize people to want to play.
Yeah, that might be more appealing. I find that after so many years of playing so many different card games, I have so many different boxes of cards, and they become a real pain to store. So the idea of buying yet more cards is not all that appealing. So an online option would be great.
And other Cthulhu Mythos gaming news, we had Dennis Detwiller on the show not too long ago, and he revealed Delta Green Black Sites, which is a collection of Delta Green scenarios bundled into one giant book. And this scenario pack also includes 2 recently unreleased scenarios, which is really cool. So, Vase, I know you're a huge Delta Green fan.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to Black Sites?
I am super excited about it. Super, super excited. I played a couple of the adventures that are going to be, or the operations that are going to be in this book, and both were really good. There's a few that are pretty straightforward and simple, but they have like very creepy factors. Like Sweetness is one that, when I first read it, it's only a few pages long, so it's easy for a new handler to get into and kind of sort it out in their head. But the scenario, when it played out in actual function, it actually worked out really well. It was more complex than it seems on the surface. So really excited to see some of the new scenarios and and get this all together in one book. I really liked A Night at the Opera, which was kind of another version of this book, with a bunch of scenarios that they had previously published put into one bound book. So that one has a bunch of really great scenarios as well. So this one is probably going to be no different. It's going to have a bunch of awesome operations for you to play. And I think that they're structuring it kind of like Night at the Opera, where it's very loosely tied together. You can kind of play them in a certain order and have it make sense within your campaign. So that's interesting as well. Although I'm also looking forward to an actual full campaign, which Dennis talked about when we had him on. So I can't wait to do the King in Yellow campaign once he releases that.
Yeah, Impossible Landscapes is definitely going to be sweet. Yeah, I'm interested to pick this product up too. As someone that doesn't own a lot of the Delta Green content in paper, I think it's really cool that you can buy these big bundled scenarios and run them as a campaign. And I think what's great about Delta Green is that the scenarios don't specifically need to be made as a campaign to make them a campaign.
Yep.
Because of the way that Delta Green is structured, that you can kind of have loose operations connect one another, just by good handling, I think.
Yeah, I think that works out. Oh, look at that. Nathan, are you getting into Delta Green?
Oh, get your... I enjoyed the episode. I've listened to the first one so far where you were all doing Delta Green, and that was pretty awesome. I just want to say that Dennis was delightful to talk to. Very, very cool person to have on the show, and I just wanted to thank him again for coming on.
Yeah, definitely. So Delta Green Black Sites is currently in the pre-order stage. They're looking for about 140 or so more pre-orders before they start shipping the book. If pre-orders are filled by the end of December 2019, they expect to have the books delivered by February. So if you're interested in picking up a copy of Delta Green Black Sites, be sure to head over to arcdream.com and check out their shop.
And a couple of notes on that. Sorry to cut you off, Nate. Delta Green books are really high quality. They don't skimp out on the quality of the book, so you're not throwing your money into a print-on-demand type product. Also, they automatically give you a free PDF of the book you purchased. So usually what they'll do is if you pre-ordered the book, the PDF is released sooner than the printed version, and they'll email you that. So you'll actually have a copy in your email inbox before the book is even arrived at your house. So that's really cool that they do that.
It's definitely a great system that they have there, and it's also nice because you're supporting a local or a small company too.
Yeah, a great company.
Yeah. Let's see. In other news, there isn't really much in terms of news. Well, I guess there is. Actually, there's one more thing I do quickly want to mention. Recently released was the game Moons of Madness on PC. Have any of you guys checked that out yet? I know Man from Lang and I had a little chat about it. I think it was last week.
I'm not a big gamer.
Yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to. I've been waiting for it to go on sale.
Well, you missed your chance, Man from Lang, because it was on sale last week.
Yeah, I'm looking for a little bit more of a sale.
Well, I bought it, and I'm going to check it out and probably play it on my live stream. So if you're interested in watching the game, you can head over to my YouTube channel, or when I have my Twitch made, I will also be live streaming it on Twitch. So,
is it an RPG type game, an action game? What type of game is it?
I guess it's like a survival horror type game. I haven't looked too much into the mechanics because I've been, trying to keep my view of the game fairly blind for my live playthrough of it. But But from my understanding, it's basically the story of At the Mountains of Madness set on Mars in the future.
Oh.
And yeah, it looks kind of in the same vein as Cornerium or what's the other game? It's more like a walking simulator than it is like Sinking City was like an open world RPG.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be a fun experience, especially on live stream. So I'm curious about this game. It definitely has some obvious Lovecraftian ties, and I mean the game just looks beautiful. Yeah.
Well, it has tentacles on the front cover, doesn't it? So there are octopi on Mars.
Well, and also I had done a thesis on Gothic literature, and one of the key concepts of Gothic literature is the removal of oneself from society to create another mindset. And different classic works do it in different ways. But when you go to another planet, which is much more removed than just mountains in the Arctic or down beneath the pyramids, etc., you really get that intangible quality of desolation adding to the storyline. So I think that's going to be a powerful aspect of that game.
Speaking of Lovecraftian games, there was a game that came out a couple months ago called, I think it was called Stygian. It was like an 8-bit type of investigator RPG, very Lovecraftian as well. Any of you guys played that one?
That came out for what?
I think it was for PC.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that one to go on sale as well.
It looked interesting. I'm not a PC gamer, but I would probably buy that one because that seems more up my alley.
Yeah, I heard sort of mixed reviews about it, but I think it was it the combat system that was kind of wonky, or I forget. But yeah, it didn't. It got okay reviews. So if it goes on sale, I'm going to I'll pick it up and give it a try. I'm hoping that at some point here in the future, I'm going to probably separate out the video game stuff from my channel, and so I can have start a second channel that will just have the Cthulhu gaming related stuff, because I know there's different fan base for that than
Arkham Horror, the card game.
Yeah, it just, when I was streaming the Sinking City, sometimes people would show up thinking I'd be playing Arkham Horror, and then they'd see I was playing Sinking City and leave. So it's probably easier just to separate the two out, and then everybody will know if I'm streaming on the one, it will be Arkham Horror or video games, depending.
Well, you've been doing a decent amount of streaming over the past couple of months, Man from Lang. You streamed your Circle Undone campaign, and you and I are actually going to be starting our own campaign of Return to Carcosa.
Yes, that is on tap tomorrow. We will be recording Return to the Path to Carcosa. You are playing Luke, and I am playing Mark, and we'll see how it goes.
That's exciting.
Yeah. This is our first time playing the campaign, I think both of us, right? You haven't played it either?
No.
Yeah. So this is going to be certainly a wild ride.
Yeah, we managed to get, we were planning to have it out a little bit earlier, but we had some bugs to iron out with Octagon. Long story short, they updated the program and hid all the files in places that I was not accustomed to. So walking Nate through setting it up was a bit of a chore, but I think we've got it all ironed out. So if all goes well, we should have that up probably sometime this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But with that, let's move into Nathan's community spotlight. Nathan, you said you had a holiday-themed scenario you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I've actually gone over it before, but since I've made it a Yuletide tradition, I wanted to bring it up again. So on ArkhamCentral.com, one of the fan mades is The Festival by, I believe, Matthew Heidi, Heiti. It is pretty darn well read. are well written. I really like the imagery. I like the gameplay. It definitely feels cool. I try to play it now during either Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, during the quiet hours when people aren't quite up yet. But basically, you're given a summons to go back to Kingsport. So you hop a ride to the train station. You arrive in Arkham right as the snow's starting to get heavy. It's actually too heavy to continue on by train, so you decide to walk the rest of the way there. And then as you approach Kingsport, you're in the middle of this, heavy snow, and you're looking out at the waves crashing into the cliff. It's really a fantastic setting. Cool gameplay. I always want to play it a lot more, but I restrict myself to once a year now, during, as I said, the Yuletide, which I think just makes it a little more special. But I'm going to be putting a little contest up on Facebook about people trying it out. So that's just a little teaser, and once again a thank you to Matthew for creating the festival in the first place.
Sounds like a fun scenario. I think you've talked about it before, right? On the podcast?
Well, Vase, what do you think about getting together and playing it this year, buddy?
I think that would be fantastic and fun.
We'll have to get together and have some, nog and chestnuts or whatever, and just make it happen.
There you go.
Maybe even document with some pictures to annoy
and
our
maybe we'll do
Patreons.
a white octopus. Kind of like a white elephant, but better.
Oh, yeah. Cephalopod. All right. Let's cue the music for the quiz, Nate. Okay. You know what? You shut your whore mouth. All right. So here we go. We're going to have 11 questions. The first one we're going to start off with is pretty simple. Man from Lang, are you ready to win this?
Oh, wait. Before we get into trivia, Nathan, we have our agreement, right?
Which
we
agreement?
Have our special agreement.
I have my Venmo app open now, Nate. So if there's any type of agreement, I'm waiting for it to materialize on that. Okay. So as I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're looking at about 11 questions. Okay, first question. The card we all know and love so well, Summoned Hound, has what 2 pips?
A combat and an intellect.
Boom, Nate, out of the gate. Good job, Nate.
The arrangement is paying off.
I don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead and mute him for the rest of the... Okay, next one. All right. So, alchemical transmutation, the spell that I'm sure everybody runs in their mystic decks. What is the person holding in their hand?
Is it a teapot?
We got a teapot for a guess. Anybody else?
A book?
And any other guesses? No? Okay, in fact, nothing is in their hand. There does look to be some kind of object on the table. So, so far 1 point for Nate. Next, we're going to a quote. They won't take us down that easily.
Let God sort them out.
Is that a card?
Yeah, so I guess it's not the right answer.
I'll see you in hell?
Maybe, but we're focused on the quiz right now, Nate. Anybody else? I've got Man from Lang on mute, so I don't think he'll be able to answer this entire time. The card itself is Stand Together. They won't take us down that easily. Stand together. Yeah. That was tricky. Sorry about that. It's everybody's favorite weakness, your worst nightmare. What does this hit you for? How much damage or sanity?
Well, worst nightmare must be sanity, so it must be 0 damage.
Say 3 sanity.
And 2 sanity.
Boom. Point Vase.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a
Good
separate
job,
arrangement.
1 point. Here's the best thing. If somebody else was asking the question and you were doing that long-winded preamble from a mile away, I just would have said two sanity as you were talking. Okay, well, see here. It's a weakness, and it's called your worst. Boom, two sanity. All right, good job. Hired muscle. There are a couple objects on the table. Can you name them?
Brass knuckles and a knife.
Glasses.
Okay, anybody else?
There's a gun in the picture, I think.
Okay.
Is it a gun and a stack of money?
All right. So everybody did a good job describing things. Now let's talk about the answers. On the table, there are bottles and a knife. A knife, of course, sticking into the table.
I get half a point.
There is a gun hanging from someone's shoulder from Thugga looking at the person who's doing the art. So, in fact, no one got that one correct, but it was valiant attempts.
So Vase is winning at 1.5 points because I got half a point for that one.
I see a theme in the questions this time around with cards that
Wow.
plays.
First of all, I take offense at that. Next card, Sacrifice. It's a mystic card. All right. Can someone tell me
A goat.
what Sacrifice does?
You can kill something on the board and either gain 3 resources or draw 3 cards or a combination of those. It has to be a purple
I'll
card.
give it
that
to
kill.
you. By things, you mean mystic assets?
Purple card. I said,
Oh, come on. You give him that, but you don't give me sheer.
I'm sorry, Nate. We have a separate
can
arrangement.
can I talk to you for a second over here?
Wow.
Nate, I can't help but think that you kind of... oh, we're still on. Hold on. I'll come back. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and... I still am looking at my Venmo and I don't see anything. I see 2 points for Vase, 1 point for Nate. Next one. It's everybody's favorite hyper awareness upgrade. So for hyper awareness, the upgrade for 2 pips, 2 experience pips. What are the icons on the card?
2
Two
willpower,
legs,
2
two
agility.
agility.
2 agility.
Everybody gets a point. That was actually pretty sexy. All right, so we've got Man from Lang with 1, Vase with 3, Nate with 2.
Even though I got it wrong, I get a point. Awesome. See, I love this arrangement.
Yeah, I'll give you credit on that. I mean, everybody talked at once. I kind of heard the right answer. All right, next one. Everyone's favorite investigator, at least should be because he's the best. Jim Culver. Can someone tell me his stats?
He has 4 willpower, 3 intellect, 2 combat, and 3 agility?
I thought he had 3 combat. I thought he was 4, 3, 3, 2.
Man from Lang, point.
Ah, damn it.
You definitely had the momentum coming out of the gate. Good job, Nate.
Damn.
So I think that puts us at Man from Lang 2, Nate 2, Vase 3. Is that
Yeah.
right? Wow.
And that's only because Vase got a point for getting it. wrong.
It was sheer luck. Next one. Key of Yes. Someone tell me what icons are on Key of Yes. Or Yees.
I don't think it has any icons.
No icons announced from Man from Lang. Anybody else?
A willpower and a wild icon?
Is correct.
What?
Wow, that was a complete
What?
shot in the dark.
Complete
Not gonna
shot in
lie
the
to you.
dark sometimes lands. Trust me, I was born. All right, so we've got Nate for 3, Vase for 3, Man from Lang 2.
Yep.
That sound right? All right, for those of you following at home, Payday. Payday is a amazing card that all of you play a lot of. It is what was that? That's what I thought. It is 1 experience to attain. It has 2 types under the title. Can you name them?
Two types.
Supply and illicit?
I think illicit is right.
Anybody else?
I know it has
Illicit is right,
can't
but I
think
can't think of the other one either.
I think saying I can't think of the
Fortune?
other one is not an answer.
Fortune.
So
Fortune.
Fortune and illicit.
Oh, you both say fortune at the same time. Cool. Illicit and faded.
Oh,
I know that's a shitty question because I wouldn't have gotten it right, but I'm looking at the card so I get to act like I do. Good job. All right. So going into the final question, I believe it's a tie with Man from Lang and Nate winning.
No.
And Vase now losing.
No.
Is that
Not even close.
right? Well, everyone has admitted that you said the wrong answer. So I'm going to go ahead and just executive decision this to a 3-way tie. All right.
I take it back. I got the right answer.
For the tiebreaker.
How do we have a 3-way tie with 10 questions?
All right. With the tiebreaker, because some people didn't get some of the questions right, Nate. Shut up. All right. Here we go. It's your favorite, I think it's Return to Carcosa, Unspeakable Oath. There are 3 different flavors of Unspeakable Oath. They've got specific names to them. Can anybody name the 3 flavors?
3 flavors.
You're talking about the new weaknesses?
Correct.
Oh, God.
This is for the tiebreaker. I can't just give you something easy like, who's the botanist investigator, because that would just be too obvious. Okay.
Yeah, I played one of them during the Iron Man. But I
Okay.
can't remember what
And
it's
you know what? Sometimes questions are too hard. So, backup question for those of you in the cheap seats. What are the 3 different colors represented by the 3 weaknesses?
Aster.
called. Yellow, red, and
It's red, green, and yellow?
What the hell, Vase?
It was a Hail
You don't
Mary,
see
okay?
Haster.
It was a Hail Mary.
Unfortunately, everybody,
Aster
Nate
is
is
not a
absolutely
color.
correct. It is red, green, and yellow. They are bloodthirst, curiosity,
said
and
that too.
cowardice.
I said
I
that
literally
too.
didn't hear it at all. So, I mean, do we want to have a final question?
Let's do it.
Go back to the tape.
Hmm.
Yellow, red, and green. Yes, we need a final question.
All right. Earlier today, Nate tried to mythos block me into giving me a new name when I already had a name. What was the name that I had chosen?
Side note.
Something about the abyss.
It was Jester of the Abyss?
Nate, winner.
Jester of the abyss.
Although that was a good prompt from Man from Lang. So, everybody, good job on the trivia. I can tell that you all believe it was done very fairly and evenly, with all answers accounted for. Yeah, so that was my roundup for the week.
Speaking of trivia, let's announce a winner for Blackest Friday.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And we do have a winner selected randomly from all the correct answers. Just so you guys know, I got so many responses for this, and 90% of them were the wrong answer. People were guessing.
Oh, so wait, hold on. Before you announce the winner, Vase, can we hear the question and the correct answer?
That's smart.
Yes. The question, verbatim, how it was asked, I don't recall. Do you remember, Nathan, how you asked the question? Or what the verbatim was?
I do. I do. Vase.
So,
The bus coming in hot today.
Oh, God, yeah.
so
It's not
it
stopping.
was supposed to be, I don't know if you said asset, but it was a card where a person is being drifted away into the ether, I think you said, or into nothingness, casually.
Basically, someone is sitting there, and half of them is getting blown away casually into the ether. And that's a very important word, because there's nothing casual about shriveling. That son of a bitch getting blown away.
And that was the
Know what I'm
number
saying?
one most common answer was shriveling. And then we got
Yeah, that's not casual.
we got shriveling, we got missive relay were very common answers. Someone I think said leather jacket. Yeah, so I think overall I had over 60, maybe even 70 responses. And yeah,
Damn.
yeah. And we got maybe 10 or 15 that got it right. And some after a couple of tries. So the winner of the Blackest Friday, which is, just to announce the prize here, Great Old Ones, here we go. They're getting all the deluxe expansions, plus the 2-player Great Old Ones playmat, now in white. So basically, the winner of the contest is Matthias Redbow. Matthias? I think it's Matthias Redbow.
Oh, cool.
So he is the winner of the Blackest Friday contest.
Well, very cool, man. So, Matthias, make sure you get in contact with Vase, and we'll be sure to get those out to you. And just to confirm, the correct answer was shriveling?
No, I didn't even give the answer. Sorry, guys. The correct answer was recall the future. A very difficult question. This thing was so tough.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably your toughest question, Nathan.
So let me ask you a quick question. So people had weeks to look at all the cards, Mystic cards, and see the obvious answer. So am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I would have never have guessed that.
Me neither.
So kudos to everyone else that did.
Yeah, no kidding. And some people were like, there is no other card that it could be other than this. And they were correct. I don't know how they figured that, but yeah. Very well done by a lot of people.
They probably Venmo'd Nathan. That's probably what it was.
But they still lost.
It was a very profitable question.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to mention before we round off today's episode?
Oh, whose channel are you guys posting the game on? You, Nate and Man from Lane.
Mine.
On your channel? Okay, cool. I'll look out for it. I'm very curious.
Yeah,
to see
it should be up this week, I think.
Sweet.
So yeah, be sure to check out our campaign of Return to Carcosa. I'm still streaming my campaign for the League of Extraordinary Investigators as well as Vase. So we've been banging that out, and we're currently on. What are we on? Phantom of Truth
just got completed. So yeah, we're both ranking wise. We're both kind of in the middle. You're above me. You're ahead of me by a few spots.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, now we're going to be playing Pallid Mask. Hopefully, I'm hoping to play tomorrow, December 9th. But we'll see. We'll see how long the game with Cameron takes. But aside from that, yeah, I think that's about it for today's episode. If you liked what you hear, be sure again to leave a rating on whatever platform you listen to the podcast. It really helps us out a lot. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thegreatoldOnesgaming and pledge any dollar amount that you wish. It comes with some pretty cool benefits, special access to our Discord server, along with first dibs on any RPGs that we run, which we do also record and broadcast onto our podcast. And we also have a Discord channel, so that'll be linked in the show notes. But other than that,
well, also anybody that becomes a Patreon can write to Innkeeper Vase, and he will send you something.
Not true.
That is 100% maybe true. Maybe. But I've been Nate, lost in time and space, and joined with me today was...
I'm Man from Ling, host of the Whisper in Darkness YouTube channel.
I'm Innkeeper Vase Odin from the Twisted Tentacle Inn.
And this is Nathan. I am a stepfather.
Well, hopefully we'll get better at this outro thing, but we'll see.